Human capital is the new currency of the digital economy. People are the most important thing. I mean, I'd rather have a great team with an average project than a great project with an average team. I can make a project great. I can make a deal great. You give me some gifted people, and it comes up later in the seminar. We always put our not always, but almost always, we put our gifted people. Let's assume for a moment, and I know it's a stretch. Let's say that Stefan is a gifted guy, and he comes into an organization. I know it's a stretch, and I know you're not used to having the accolades. But let's just say that he's a gifted guy. He comes into the organization, so everybody at the board says, "I want him to do this deal, this deal, this deal," and it's all the problems they've got. I want him to put this fire out, this fire. Not me. What's our biggest income opportunity that we've been sitting with our thumbs up our ass for the last 3 years about, and we haven't done anything about? That's what we're going to get them to do. You got no budget, just get it done as quickly as humanly possible, and we will reward you beyond your wildest expectations. Not go put this fire out, go put that fire out. And that's what we do. And let's just say that we are the most gifted person in our organization. I can't imagine you are in your organizations. You got to have somebody better than you. You got to. But let's just say you don't. You're spending now time putting out your fires every day. You're not putting your time on the biggest income opportunity. You're leaving the biggest income opportunity to go to the side. 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 5 years. And pretty soon you're fucking middle aged and you're at the exact same place you were 5 years ago. That's assuming you're the best in the company you got. I can't imagine for a moment that you are, but let's just say you are. And then, and the good people that you do have, if you have any, you've got them working on not the best income opportunity. You've got them looking at putting out a fire. And I have a younger brother. He's a star in the California county, Los Angeles County Fire Department. He's a battalion chief, and he doesn't like that fire analogy. He makes sounds like putting out fires like demeaning. No, Vince, that's not what I mean. But anyway. So Vince, if you hear this, I mean, we hold you in high esteem. Number 15. Oh no. Excuse me, number 16. No, I said that. Number 16. Human capital. Okay. 17. Technical change is a subset of greater change, cultural change. It is a subset. A fucking subset. Everybody understand verstehen subset? No, I knew he didn't. Tell him what subset means. Okay. See, I can just tell by looking at him, you know? It's a subset. But we have organizations that drive. The technology is not supposed to drive, it's supposed to be supportive. And then again, the technocrats, they've got it ass backwards. They turn it all around. And when we talk about strategy and structure follows strategy. And that's why most mergers and acquisitions don't work, because you're bolting something on because you can buy it cheap. You're not bolting it on because it supports your initial strategy. 18, good. I'm saying this all along. 18, good is the enemy of great. When we get good, we usually quit. And this is something I've morphed into too. I've evolved. I used to say early in my career, good was good enough. You didn't have to be great. And I was wrong. And you have to be, the best you can be, and you have to be, if you cannot first, you have to be different. And in today's economy, I mean, it's tough to be first. It's not as tough to be different, and especially in the internet world, sometimes you can be first, sometimes, but you can be different. You can change things, but I believe that we're running out of the social networks. We're running out of. I think we've already run out of options. That doesn't mean that some guy will invent something, next month that changes everything. But now it's a marketing game. social networking, and they can be immensely profitable. But I mean, I ran a company where we test marketed a social network. You have no idea the work that goes in is involved. You can't even conceive in your wildest imagination the work that's involved and the tests and the this and the that I read maybe 2,000 emails from when we were testing it because I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to try to understand it better. There's a lot of sick puppies out there, boy. Sick, lonely puppies. It's tragic, And this social networking is only scraping the very top, the 0.1% or 0.1 %. So just the pyramid that's underneath it. There's a lot of unhappy people. Most people lead quiet lives of desperation. Most people, they're better off with a bullet in their fucking head. I'm sure I'll get lawsuits when they hear the tape about that. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Metaphorically speaking. Great DNA encoding of people and the values, not ideas, in young companies early on will create the truly great and lasting companies later. There was a book written about 10 years ago. I think I have it in my library. And it says these companies will change the next millennium, beginning of the next century, which is the last 10 years. And they name these companies. Now you go and you look up the companies, and about 70% of them are gone. 80% are gone. And there's only 2 or 3% that have any sustainable value. But at the time, at the turn of the last century, this was the thought process. And it goes back to reinforce or validate the statement, you can never underestimate how wrong you can be. And when we start talking about technology, because we got a couple of technology type people here, it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts on some of the slides. It is not important what we do, but whom we do it with. Great companies didn't start with this is really important. Great companies didn't start because I put it in bold. Now I write all my emails in bold, but that's because it's easier for me to read. But great companies didn't start with what they planned on doing, but they started out great by who they picked to do it with. People should get on your bus, not where you are going, but because they like who is riding on the bus with them. The bus will also change directions, but the bonds of good people won't. Oprah Winfrey says a lot the last 10 or 15 years. He's the kind of person, and the kind of people that she introduces them because she likes their book, yada, yada. This is somebody I want on my bus. Again, the seminar's not long enough to ask you who's on your bus. Plus, I just had breakfast and I don't want to throw up. Yes.
One question.
Speaking of throw up, you're the one that didn't want square sausage. No, you were the one that didn't want square sausage. And why didn't you want square sausage? All my cooks are on a tizzy about this. Why didn't you want square sausage?
Because it was...
Is this an impaler bullshit Romanian answer? Or is this okay?
It was uncommon that I tried and I didn't like the taste.
You didn't? And so you like a fat Lynx sausage. They gave you Lynx today?
I like when it's like really tasty, good, high quality.
Bavarian meat, huh? No?
Yes.
I should have known better.
Actually, I like the Austrians more, even if I don't have...
Oh, okay. Prussians even better. Okay, go ahead.
One question: when I start putting people in my bus, starting just with an idea and a vision, and I start, for example, the chairman is getting on the bus and he's bringing all his peers into the bus. What's the, not the guarantee, but what can save me by not thrown out of the bus?
When you're we're going to get to that, but it's a good point. He's saying it a little more subtle than I'm going to say it. If you've got a great idea, or you sell it like a great idea, and you convince people to get on your bus, there's a high probability when they figure out that you don't bring anything to the table, they'll throw you out on your miserable ass. And when you get back and you think about it, and you start doing the Excels on this system, you're going to figure, well, if you haven't already figured it out, you're going to figure out, well, I'm the weakest fucking link here. So why do they need me? So I just better stay in my little, a little fish in a little fucking pond, a little mud hole. There is no guarantee. So you either have to morph yourself into something a lot better than you are. Since you're starting with zero, that's not too difficult to do, you know. Otherwise, there is no reason. I've had people that come through here, I can't imagine why anybody would want to be involved. But they have. I mean, I had a girl about 10 years ago. She was a beauty queen, a model, but she happened to be really smart. And in addition to her great beauty, she was a female jockey, one of the few at that time female jockeys in the UK. Now she's a trainer. And she was just nervous. She was just, I mean, her boyfriend at the time was a dominating guy. He was, you know. And so we were down in London and she was interviewing board members. She had 2 members of the House of Lords on her board, ultimately. She had 1 member of House of Commons. She had the retired CEO of the biggest company in her industry that she was trying to consolidate. And she had some just dynamite people. But I remember sitting across the lobby in a hotel, I think the Churchill, and she was interviewing the guy, and she was so nervous. She kept her knees together like this, and she put her elbows on her knees. I can't bend over that. I'm not that supple like this because she was shaking so hard. And she brought no value, nothing, other than the vision she had. And some people say she was able to get these guys because she was, you know, really good looking. But she was very professional. She used to wear 3-piece suits. She used to look like a mini-me. But you're right. They don't need you. And that will happen once in a while. But most of the boards are professional enough and honorable enough. And I told you about the couple of German boards. I mean, very honorable guys. I mean, and although a couple times they said, you know, Herr Pena. For some reason they can't say Peña, Pena. Herr Pena. I said Herr Professor, remember? Anyway, you know, Hans doesn't bring any value. No, normally they started off like, what's your relationship with Hans? And I know it's coming. And what do you think about Hans? You know, and it's coming. And if I hit more than one, and 2 or 3 of them ask me the same thing, I know it's coming. And they say, do you think Hans brings any value? I said, yes. I said, yes, he brought the value to bring all the others. We know, you know we're here because of you. And I said, yeah, but I'm here because of him. So, and normally it stops there. But sometimes it doesn't stop. We had a Dutch deal, a construction deal. Gerard Germeyer, and he had some really hot shot guys, and they took the deal. And I left the board because we couldn't agree on what we were going to do in a timely fashion, so I just resigned. And then within 3 months, they had thrown him out. And then, of course, we had 2 very strong guys on the board, and both would benefit individually their own businesses by taking 1 or 2 tracks, you know. And so ultimately the business blew up because they fought, they couldn't agree. But you're right, it's going to happen though. But you can't let that keep you. And then you're going to say, well, now they own 25% of my company. So now it's even worse. Well, 25% because you've given them shares in the company. When we talk about, you know, how do you lure the board members in? You give them part of the company. And so now you've got a minority shareholder. Well, I mean, less than 2% of the time, and for the thousands of deals that we've done over the last 17 years, have the minority shareholders caused the problem for majority shareholders. And normally now we have push-pull agreements. We have agreements where, you know, you have an ability to buy them out at some rate. It's not going to be a euro either, but some rate. And if the company's worth something, I mean, you do it gladly. But this is not a fail-safe program for sorry fucking Germans that have no charisma, no fucking ideas, no balls, to make a quantum leap. There is no. This is not the plan that lasts 1,000 years. This is not that.
Can we cut that by more than 90%, please?
Yeah. Yes. No more
The
than
time frame. Can we cut it by more than 90%?
Yes, you can.
So this was the point we talked about yesterday when we said, okay, just get rid of these people, but a lot of people, they're really loyal to me, and I think loyalty is a word for itself, even if I have not...
Is loyalty so important to you that it hinders you from growing?
Loyalty is a...
Just answer yes or no. Don't give me a bullshit fucking German answer.
My loyalty or loyalty?
No. Is loyalty to you from them more important than you succeeding and achieving your dream? Yes or no?
Neither.
You wasted your money coming here. You wasted your money coming here. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit answer. You got to be more decisive than that. No, that's all. The loyalty to these guys, all these fucking leeches sucking your blood. It's like crab. The crabs don't like a crab to get out of the crab pot. So as soon as you get up to the top, they pull you down. They don't think of themselves pulling you down, but because the weight of their bodies pull you down. And it's because they want to go with you, but they don't have the strength to pull themselves out. So they pull you down and they keep you from achieving what you want to do.
I want my dream, but I want them to take me.
Oh well, fuck! They're not going to take you. Forget that. That's a story that's not going to happen.
Then, but what about if you handpick the people?
You handpick them.
Yeah, but also you look for the trait of loyalty, so they don't throw you out. Because you will be doing only.
It's not the employees that are going to throw you out. They're not smart enough. Otherwise, they wouldn't be your fucking employees. It's the fucking board members, the smart guys like Stefan and me. They're going to cut your fucking head off. It's not the fucking peanut farmers that you got. It's not the fucking peasants digging the ditches, pulling the plows. Those guys aren't going to throw you out. They're lucky to be there.
With the board, you pick them.
Yeah, you and your chairman. No, but there's no fail safe.
No.
This is not a fail. This is not a guaranteed. Every time they shoot a rocket up to the outer space, there's a possibility that it's going to explode.
Once. So I've seen Mr. Trump two times, and he
Mr. Who?
Mr. Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yes.
Okay.
And he emphasized that loyalty is one of the most important things.
And he's right.
And he has people working him from when he was like a mini tycoon.
Correct. That's correct. And the guy that sits on the right of him, that old guy, that old lawyer, the white-haired guy, is really the brains. I'm told. He was his dad's lawyer. Yeah, but that guy is so well compensated. He'd be cutting his nose off to spite his face, because Donald is the brand, and Donald's smart in that regard, I believe, because he keeps himself in the forefront. The Trump organization wouldn't be the Trump organization without the Trump brand, and the Trump brand is him. But you want to make excuses for all the stupid things you've done. That's what you're saying. And you figure out an equation for that. A equals B plus C equals fucked up. And another important part of this that companies didn't start with what they planned on doing, but they started out with great people, etc., etc. Too many times, because you start with a plan that's this, you can't knock that concrete building down. You keep thinking that that's the thing that you got to do. Especially you guys. That's the thing you have to do. When it isn't, you should be doing this over here. And you've got to make a transition into doing that. It's like people start in the real estate business and they really find out that they have a definity for mortgages and mortgage business. And so they get out of that and they do mortgage business. And some people then find out, it's like you start out as a general practitioner and a doctor when you're going through medical school. And then you really find out you like surgery. You like this. You like, heart surgery. They change. Yeah, the general idea is I want to be a doctor. And then that's why in 4 years or 5 years of medical school, you study a lot of things and you decide, I want to be a a gynecologist, because I like sticking my fingers up at women, or whatever. But they change it, morphs into a lot of, most of the people that come to me don't understand that. They've got one idea, and that's because most of the people that come to here aren't really savvy enough to know that life isn't an absolute. As Clint Eastwood says, nobody guaranteed you life. And that's why some actors become producers, become directors. But you don't see that very much in the fatherland. You start out a fucking bricklayer, you die a fucking bricklayer. And that's, you started out a physicist and
I'm a promoter.
Yeah, you're not much of a promoter. You didn't promote anything recently. So all I'm saying is, your life morphs. We're going to go through a slide here pretty soon. The kids born today will have 6 or 7, not different jobs in their life, 6 or 7 different careers. That's unheard of. 20 years ago, you went to work for a company, you worked 40 years, you got a gold watch and retirement. Pat on the ass and you went off for the pension. Now the pensions are underfunded, you might not get a pension. If somebody comes in and acquires your company, and there's not too many companies that are overfunded pensions, because that was a good reason to acquire companies years ago. Overfunded pensions, that doesn't happen too often now. But they go in and you have no pension. Just think about, for the poor bastards that worked all their lives for the Icelandic banks. They're no longer. Just think about all the people that worked for Buick, had Buick dealerships, that sold Buicks. It was passed on. I have a friend of mine that has a Buick dealer, or had a Buick dealership. Fortunately, he had 21 other dealerships. But what happened to all those people? They're fucking gone. Don't you get the same kind of newsreels in Germany where I'm a 47-year-old engineer, I'm out of work after 24 years, and now I'm going to training to be a dental hygienist or some bullshit. Don't you see those things on TV in Germany? Isn't it the same?
You see them.
Yeah, well then how come you can't get it through your thick fucking head? This is the new world. And those are opportunities, not just for opportunities. Well, I'm going to go in the dental hygienist business because all these poor fucking German engineers got nothing else to do. So I'm going to teach them. They got people driving cabs. I had a really smart guy, a limo driver in New York about a year ago, who was a regional manager for Verizon phone company. And he's driving a limo. So he went from making 170 grand or whatever he made a year to making 45 grand. But he says that he said I couldn't accept unemployment 30 grand. He's only making 15 grand more working than 30 grand for unemployment. This is a changed world. It's a changed world. I'm unemployable. I couldn't get a regular job, and nobody, because they'd say, "Oh, Peña will be in my seat pretty soon," and they're right, But I've never, since I got thrown out of Great Western in January 1992, I never thought even seriously. First of all, I had some money, so I never thought seriously about getting a job. I thought, I'll be on some boards, which I have, and now boards are a pain in the ass. I don't like to be on boards too often now, because I'm not the kind of guy just to sit there. I'm not just a name on the note paper. I'm just not a name that you can list. And, and normally the board sides with me. You can have all these guys for 10 years. Stefan knows all these guys. They're his mates, asshole buddies. I get on the board and I think that Stefan's doing a bad job. One will ask me, well, what do you think about Stefan? How do you rate him? I think he's overrated. That's all I got to say. In European, I don't know if the Channel Islands are the same as the rest of Europe, but that's all I have to fucking say. I think he's overrated. And then their little beaver minds, you know, how do we pull this deal apart? You know, and I love when they say, "Oh, we really like Stefan. He's a good guy." that means, I don't like when people say he's a good guy or I'm a good guy. They don't say I'm a good guy. Nobody ever says that about me. They say Dan's smart, he's cunning, he says, and they normally say we better watch out, you know, because if we oppose him, it's going to be a problem. Always put your best people and the best opportunities, not the biggest problem. I already said that. 22. Stockdale paradox. This is important. Stockdale was the guy that was a prisoner of war for 7 or 8 years during the Vietnam War, Admiral Stockdale. He's the guy that Ross Perot picked to run for president, vice president with him when he ran for president in the early 90s. Admiral Stockdale survived 7 years of torture in Vietnam, not by being overly optimistic of being rescued within weeks, but by being realistic of knowing it could be years. The other optimistic American POWs around him died from broken expectations and hearts of hoping to be rescued within weeks. Realists are brutally honest with themselves, yet they still have unswerving belief. They will prevail. Failure is not an option. Even in the face of great adversity, just know what your adversity really is. And nobody's more optimistic than I am, that I've ever come up against. Yet, especially now with almost 40 years of doing this, I know more or less, plus or minus 20-25%, how long something's going to take, or how long something should take. Okay. Often it doesn't take how long it should take because we don't have the horses, we don't have the right team. Okay. But I'm pretty good at assessing the strengths and weaknesses of a group and knowing, you know, again, plus or minus 20-25%, what we should do. The young optimist, the eternal optimist, you know, we can get this done overnight, we can get this done, this and that. But the first time we hit a pothole in the road, it chips away. And the next time we hit, you know, a roadblock, it chips away. And after, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of these obstacles, you know, they're on their way to being demoralized. You know, it's like when you said, you know, I was disappointed when you didn't get your visa. Okay. When I hit the potholes, it reaffirms my belief. And normally, not always, but normally my belief that it's going to get done is enough to carry the group. Not always, but most of the time. A vast majority of the time. But at some point, I mean, even with my optimism, you know, and normally it's because they say they're running out of cash. Because almost all businesses that are started are undercapitalized. It's that simple. Because they're undercapitalized, it's because you underestimate the time. Not because, and you do all the Excel fuckers that you want, but you underestimate the time. Now just imagine if you were in the shipping produce and ship business and you were a startup right now. You're fucked. You think the bank's going to give you any fucking more money? Forget about it. You're fucked. What about your ex? The Germans probably spent 4, 5, 7 years planning this produce business, and all that time on Excel's spreadsheets is down the toilet. Just because one fucking volcano, which is now spewing not ash but lava again. Now they tell me lava is better than ash. Okay, so I don't know what that means, but anyway. But that's why all this planning and all these business plans are not worth the paper to wipe your ass with. They just aren't. And one of the reasons you spend so much time planning is because you're afraid of execution and implementation because you know you're not good at it.